G'day trendsetters, Greg here from Fishplay Films and welcome back to the BNSF Bowwood Subdivision! Yes, it's been a little while and we're back in the heat again, but with lights this time. Yes, haha. So, today we're talking about Tsunami's F11 braking feature. Now I've seen a few videos on this and basically what it is, you set a couple of CVs and you can use the F11 button on your throttle to pull the train up and the brakes will squeal. Now, you know, that's okay. I've seen Goalie George do it from Soundtracks, and I'd like to say thank you to George and Soundtracks for putting out their short YouTube videos on their new Tsunami Decoders, which is a really good idea. They're still not as good as mine, but you know, they're okay. If you really want to know how to tune your Tsunamis, you know where to go. That's right. So, today, F11, I watched a few videos, and the F11 feature is fine, it's okay, but I think they're missing the most important bits of this feature, and it's not actually the braking in my opinion. I have all my locos set, so when I pull back on the throttle at a quick rate, the brake squeal will come on. You can go into your Tsunami manuals and have a look how to do that. And depending on how you set it, the brake squeal will come on at a shorter time or a longer time or from less throttle. That's up to you. So you can pull the train up with brake squeal now, that's fine. And of course if you have your momentum set correctly, I have mine set at 100, you'll get a nice roll up stop with the brake squealing. So that's, you know, you can do that without having to push buttons for your F11. But the cool thing about F11 is the start off sequence, not the braking in my opinion. Now I've pulled these two up here with F11, and what we can do now is we can throttle them up. Now let's say that's connected to a train and I want to charge up the train pipe. So that's on notch 2 at the moment, so they can sit there and charge up the brake pipe or charge up their own air or whatever they want to do. That's with the brake set at F11. So we'll get into some settings on how to set it, what values I think are good, and then we'll try it out on these two locos here. Now the beauty about the Tsunami 2s is that they haven't changed too many of the settings. So I really thank Soundtracks for that. Because remember, a lot of us have bought dozens and dozens of Tsunami 1s, hundreds maybe. And you don't want to have them not compatible with Tsunami 2. So most of the main features are the same. But there's a couple little things with the F11 feature that the CVs are a bit different, which I tried setting one of these with the Tsunami 2 CV. And of course it didn't work, trendsetters. I had to go back through my little book and find out that the CV for setting them is different. Still does the same thing, but just the CV is different on Tsunami 1 than Tsunami 2. So we'll get the book and we'll go through that and we'll check this neat feature out. As far as I'm concerned, the braking is okay, but the acceleration, that's where it's really cool. All right, let's get into it. Right, here we go. So the first thing you need to do is set some momentum. Obviously we've got our momentum set in our locos, haven't we? Yes, we have. So CVs 3 and 4, I have mine set to 100. The more you set it, obviously, the further your trains will run once you turn the throttle off. And if you have a switching loco that you want to have a lot of momentum, you can set that to maybe 150 or 200, and your loco will run for ages, and then you will actually have to use the brakes to stop it because your brake setting, you want your brake setting, we'll go to it up here, you want your brake setting to be more harsh than your momentum, obviously. So if you just back the throttle off, your train will run for so long, and then if you back the throttle off and hit the brakes, F11, you want it to stop quicker. So momentum, I have mine set to 100, I find that's a happy medium, but whatever you want to do, that's up to you. So the first thing you need to do is to set CV22 to 16. So that's in Tsunami 1 and Tsunami 2. What this will do will enable the consist to brake altogether. So when you press F11, all your locomotives in that consist will brake to F11. Now, to set the braking rate, how much the brakes come on when they actually come, how quick they start the locomotive, in Tsunami 1, and don't do what I did, try and put these values into Tsunami 1. Tsunami 1 is CV61, and I have mine set to 150. So anything above 128 is more aggressive than your momentum, which is what you want. Anything below 128, your brakes actually are less than your momentum, so you don't really want that. I'm pretty sure in Tsunami 1, anything below 128 doesn't even work. I think it's just a non-value. So if you set that to say 250, If you had, say, a switching loco, you're just running around by yourself, you might want to set it to 200. So your brake is really harsh. So you have a really high momentum and you let the locos roll up, hit the brakes a couple of times and it'll pull up really quick. But for me, 150 is just a little bit more, it's a slightly harsher braking than my momentum at 100. Once again, up to you, whatever you want to do. Now for Tsunami 2, you have two choices, CV117 or 118. Now 117 is your independent brake, which is just the loco brakes, and 118 is your train brake, so that's your whole train. Now of course we don't have that, we don't have independent brakes, we don't have train brakes, but what it does is it allows you to have, say, two. So if you're having a loco run light engine, as we call it down here, or locos by themselves, they're going to pull up a lot quicker. So maybe you could have that setting a lot harsher, and your train one CV118 for, which is your train brake, both F11, don't get confused. You might have that set for a lot higher because your train's going to take slow. Me, I went lazy and I just picked CV117, which is actually independent brake, but I just did it because it was the first number I read, trendsetters. And the same thing happens. What you will get though, if you choose 118, your compressor, once you pull up, your compressor will cycle for 15 seconds to pump the train line up again. That's up to you whether you choose that or not. I just went 117 because it was the first number I read. There's also another one, 116, which is your dynamic brakes. You can also set that to set your dynamic brakes to pull the train. I don't like that idea because a lot of the times dynamic brakes aren't slowing a train down. They're there to keep a train at a constant rate down a hill. And I don't like the fact that when you hit dynamic brakes, your loco slow down. I like to be able to do that myself. So I haven't put 116 in there. On the Tsunami 2, which is Tsunami 2 here, you can have 116, I haven't written it in. 117 is your independent, 118 is your train. Doesn't matter between those two. The beauty is that both of these, Tsunami 1 and Tsunami 2, work exactly the same. Just remember, when you're doing Tsunami 1, your value goes into CV61 for your braking rate. In Tsunami 2, it's 117 or 118. You can actually have both of them, as I said, but I just choose 117. And of course, CV3 and 4 momentum, 100. Right, let's go and have a look. Right, trendsetters, as I said, the best thing I think about this feature is the starting and acceleration, not so much the braking. The braking's cool, but you can pull up with brake squeal without using F11, but it's nice to use. But the best thing is this, I reckon. Now, we have our locos here. Now, I can't remember whether I pulled up with the brakes or not, whether I set the brakes. I've gone and had lunch or whatever. So I don't want to do a normal takeoff where, you know, you ramp up the throttle and they move straight away, which is, I suppose, the biggest bugbear in all the decoders, isn't it? Lock sound have a little bit of a delay on them, and you can set the Tsunamis with a huge amount of momentum and they will have a bit of a delay between the prime mover notching up and the locos moving. But this feature, using the F11, will let you ramp them up to however many notches you like, then release the brakes, and if you have the momentum set properly, they will take off nice and slow. Now you can also use manual notching. That's even more of an annoyance, where you actually operate the throttle and the speed independently. You can notch up and down. Manual notching is nice, I guess, if you're coasting along, and you can knock the prime mover back a couple of notches and it'll still go the same speed. Then you have to remember because the two aren't interlocked, it's a bit messy. I guess that's where the dynamic digital exhaust and the full throttle and the lock sounds are a good idea, because they will ramp the throttle up and down as you go. But me, I don't like them. I like to drive the damn things, trendsetters. So now I can't remember whether the brakes are set or not. So what you do, just put the remote over there, is you go to F11 and you push, depending on your throttle, shift, F11. Now I didn't hear a noise, so to me the brakes aren't set. So if I do that again, there we go. Now I know the brakes are set. So I can notch up now. So that's on notch 2 now. Let's say we're pumping up some train air. And then F11 again. Now that will go up until the speed step that I have it set at. So we can ramp it up. Now I'll pull up now just with momentum. So I have my brakes coming on anyway. Now I can also hit F11 now. Another application, and that'll pull it up with the brakes. So I could let it just roll to a stop without pushing F11 with some brake squeal, but you didn't have to. Now what you can do, if you want to do switching and you want the locos to run up and down a really long way, just rolling, which you can do if you set your momentum, say 200 plus, you can turn off the brake squeal, and then you can just back the throttle off quickly, let them roll, and then when you apply F11, then you'll get the brake squeal. So that's not a bad idea if you really want to use that feature. So therefore you won't get brake squeal unless you hit F11, which is nice. But I have the brake squeal set on a lot of mine, so if I back off quickly, I will get some brake squeal, and then at the end I can just hit F11 as well. It doesn't matter. Now you can also hit the brakes and release them. So here we go. Now I can release them, and that's just going to roll at the throttle setting that I've got it at. And then I've gone back just with momentum now, and then it'll pull up with the brake squeal as normal. So that's just rolling now momentum because I haven't hit the brakes. Now the train has stopped. Well, where's the camera, Bergie? Train has stopped. Now let's say I want to do a nice takeoff with the F11 again. I haven't pulled up with the brakes, and this is the good thing. If you've got operators, you don't want them using the brakes, you can just say, okay, when you pull up, hit F11. Once you hear the brakes discharge, the air come out, now you know you can do a good stop. Sorry, do a realistic start. So we'll come back again. If I go the right way, trendsetters. Now remember, I have my locos running really slow with their speeds, or should I say more realistic trendsetters. Here we go, so that's brake squeal with momentum. So we hit F11, now we get some more. I can turn F11 off. So now it's rolled to a stop. So now we don't have the brakes on, and this will do a normal takeoff like we're normally used to when the loco moves as soon as the prime mover starts. Sometimes that's prototypical if a train's downhill, but normally you'll hear a prime mover notch up 1, 2, 3 notches before it starts moving, especially if it's uphill. Right, so that's on a pair of locos like that. Let's see it on a train on a hill, and we'll show you the effect on that trendsetters. Okay, trendsetters, we've just pulled this train up here. This is a Kato with a Tsunami 2. and a intermountain with a Tsunami 1. I wonder why this was not sounding right when I pulled it up here. If you shift 10 or function 10 on the Tsunami 2s, will give you a straight to 8. And sometimes when I carry them and push the throttle, I accidentally hit that, so I thought it was a bit weird. But anyway, we pulled up, and now we want to do a really nice takeoff. Have I set the brakes, or have I want? You know, I've got people watching. Is it going to be a normal takeoff, or do I want to put a few notches under its belt like in real life so we can load the traction motors up? The idea is to load the traction motors up slowly with amps, get their amps up slowly, not just hit them straight away and then slowly take off. So we want to do that. Have I set the brakes or haven't I? Okay, well, there's an easy way to test. If I hit F11, now you can hear the air come off there. Now I know the brakes are set. If I didn't hear any air, then I know the brakes weren't set. So we know they're set. So here we go, trendsetters. We want the okay, here we go. You can see here, enough light on there. I'm on speed step 6, we're on notch 1. Okay, we're up to 2. Here we go. Release the brakes. There we go. Much better, trendsetters. This G, they're all very quiet. Now if I want to pull them up with brakes again, let's do that. I'll notch back down, that's 0, F11. Now we'll see, have we got the brakes set? Let's see. Now, if I have got the brakes set and I release them, no, have I? Are they on or not again? I'll hit them again. Right, now hear the air escape there. Now I know the brakes are on. So now we can do the same thing again. Just pan around here. I won't use the bell or the horn this time so you can hear it. Okay, here we go, F11. Right, well there you go, translators. I think that's fantastic. Now remember, you don't have to pull up with F11, you can just pull up as normal. Hit F11 once you've put the values in, and then you'll be able to take off, put up a couple of notches, let the engines load up, as they say, let the traction motors load up, then hit F11 and you'll be able to do a beautiful takeoff, prototype takeoff. Remembering that your momentum has to be set right. Now I could probably have that braking a little bit more aggressive. I notice it does roll on a little bit, but it's up to you. You know, if you want to pull them up slowly, it's all up to you what you have on those settings. And don't forget to pause the video and write those settings down. Now also with the Tsunami 2s, you get a couple of options. I noticed the air doesn't release
when you apply the brakes on the Tsunami 2s. That's probably because I haven't got the settings. You can go into the Tsunami 2s and you can do how much air they release, the volume of the air release and all that sort of thing. Where in the Tsunami 1s, you don't get that. As soon as you set the brakes, the air will come on and you'll hear it. So I need to go into the Tsunami 2s and just basically raise the volume of the air releases so you can hear them. But the brakes are coming on. So that's why we're hearing only just the one loco. And sometimes when you release the brakes, you'll hear the air on the Tsunami 2s. It just depends on what they're doing. But anyway, I think it's a great feature. I think not enough is mentioned on that, how good it is on the starts. The braking, yeah, you can use it or not, but honestly, the realistic starts, I use it pretty much all the time now. And I'm slowly going through and doing the roster with them all. So, and F11 is always there. All you need to do is set a value in F11. So in CV, 61 for Tsunami 1, CV 117 or 118 for Tsunami 2, set a value above 128 and you can get that beautiful takeoff feature. And also you couple up some locos to a train, you put them up to notch 4 or 5 with the brakes on, they won't move, so you can be charging up a train there or maybe warming up a couple of locos in a diesel facility, maybe doing a load test on them. Just really, it's just like a neutral function as well. So it works really well. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed that. We'll be doing some more Tsunami shoots this year. One on sound, I think that's really needs to be covered, and equalization of sound, so we'll be doing a bit later on. And we have a really interesting layout update coming up soon. Just a bit of a tease, trendsetters. So with proper lighting now, we've got lots of more lights, we can see what's going on. And we'll see you very soon with a BNSF, a Birdwood sub layout update on something. All right, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you soon. Hooroo for now. Bye-bye.